Hello, Tenzin Josh. How do we refer to you? Tenzin Josh? Tenzin? Tenzin is it. I'm quite excited about this conversation. We met briefly yesterday, and I hadn't really had a chance to meet you or understand enough about your role here previous to that, and then I went and had a little bit of a research, and mind blown, just to say the least. I guess I could probably maybe start with a few of the things. So you've been studying, you've been training yourself for over 30 years in this specific career, in specific treatments that you're working on now, and this target, including 15 years in Tibet, in India, with the Dalai Lama. Is it 2 or 3 years in a meditation study?
First 2 or 3 years I was in the mountains, mostly in meditation.
Yes, and was that the start?
That was when I became a monk. So
right.
I spent a year or two before that. It was a few years before that when I was studying Buddhism and became a monk.
Maybe we could start there. So where are you from originally?
England.
I thought I heard the accent. Yeah.
It's lost a bit over all the years. But it's
still I could hear it. It's there.
So yeah, from London, grew up in a fairly normal sort of suburban family in England. Nothing particularly traumatic in life. Many people come to spirituality or religion through traumas in their life. Not unusual and not for very good reason.
Fantastic, that's a great reason.
It is. Yeah. But actually, in my case, I really didn't. I grew up in a very normal family. I didn't have anything terrible happen. But I was very disillusioned with the way normal people live from a very early age, from about 11 or 12 years old. I rebelled against all the way people were.
Is that because you were looking forward and thinking, is this it?
Something like that, yes. I mean, basically I looked at what my parents were living a fairly well-off, normal lifestyle, but I didn't see...
Was it fulfilling?
No, I didn't see what happens.
Yeah.
So I tried to find it somewhere else. And as many people do in your teenage, you go through many different phases of looking for where happiness comes from. And of course, none of those work.
There were a lot of wrong ones, I guess.
They all fail. And I came across Buddhist teachings when I was, as far as I remember, before I was at university, so probably sort of 16, 17.
So how many years, when is this? This is in the 70s?
This would be in the 80s.
In the 80s, okay.
Yeah, so I was, where am I? Time-wise, early 80s. I went to university in...
It probably seems like yesterday for you.
Of course, life goes by so quickly.
It's incredible.
Life goes by so quickly.
Yeah.
I went to university in 82, so it would have been before that.
Yeah.
So around about that time.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay.
And read my first Buddhist book, and as soon as I read a Buddhist book, that was it.
Don't you think it's interesting? I mean, when I studied martial arts. My parents put me into martial arts from the age of 6. I studied Hapkido, Korean art, and it's highly philosophical and a lot to do with breathing and meditation and self-control. It's very physical, but they put even more importance on the mind and on this side of it.
Is that where a lot of your tattoos are?
Some of them are, some of them are. And the funny thing is, whenever I picked up a book, because I was introduced through somebody else in the United States, my master said, look, here's a hell of a lot of literature that you need to read. And I thought, okay, I'm not used to doing this. 2-3 pages in, you can't put it down. Was it like that with you as well? Yeah, it's just right.
It just clicks, yeah. And if you look at really where that comes from, it's pretty much, there's no other way of really looking at it or understanding it apart from believing in class size or understanding class size, because you come, probably similar with yourself, you come from an upbringing where you're not exposed necessarily to Eastern things or to Eastern philosophy, and yet somehow...
Well, I guess because I was so young, I was in an extent, because my instructors for the first 4 years were Korean and didn't speak English. Right. So it was quite,
Did you grow up? Where did you grow up?
In Sydney.
In Sydney, okay.
Yeah.
Are you still growing up in a very much...
very Western, yeah, absolutely. And I was born in Uruguay, and my parents, at home, everything was Spanish and Uruguayan, and at school was Australia. Yeah. Australian, mate.
So you, similar thing then, I mean, you connected with something which wasn't the normal part of your society. Yeah. And if you ask, well, how is that possible? It's very difficult to understand if you don't recognise the
I just thought of something with the statement you made, and maybe it translates to what I end up doing in life. You're right, that being at such a young age to be exposed to something that isn't mainstream, and you can't share with everybody because you don't know yet how to explain it anyway. It takes a lifetime to explain it, or long, but it's difficult. But later in life, you kind of feel like, okay, I've done this when everyone's doing that and it went well for me, I went this way. And so I actually have a philosophy that most of my listeners, viewers, my friends know. When they zig, I zag a lot in creative fields and all sorts of things. And maybe it stems from the fact that I've always been doing something that's outside of the mainstream that has been really powerful. And unfortunately, I can't share it or bring everyone along all the time, which now I'm really wanting to, and I think people are much more open to it. And it's incredibly, you want to share the power. I mean, I know why you're here. I had a look at that. You were there, you were working with the Dalai Lama, and you realized, hey, I need to give this to people that really need it, right? That was that was motivator.
That's not just me, uniquely me.
No, of course not. No.
That's a very basic tenet within the things I do.
Yeah.
Purpose.
Oh,
the
sure,
whole
sure.
purpose in being a monk, the whole purpose in studying, the whole purpose in
To share and help others. Yeah.
There is nothing else more meaningful in life.
Fantastic.
Than helping others. There isn't.
Yeah. Not as fulfilling. You're looking to be fulfilled.
Yeah. There is. There's only really often people when I'm working here, not necessarily cancer patients, but detox patients. A lot have any purpose in that. In fact, for cancer patients, it's true as well, because if you have cancer and you don't have any reason or purpose to live, then you're pretty much certainly going to die. You need that purpose, whoever you are. You don't have purpose or meaning in your life. It doesn't go anywhere. And if you get sick, you're not going to get better without that purpose. And I find that's one of the biggest things with cancer patients. We'll lose patients who are really not very sick simply because there's no purpose.
Want to. Oh, they let go.
They haven't got a purpose.
Yeah.
They don't have kids, they don't have family, there's nothing meaningful in their life. We all need that. We hugely need that.
And do you feel that then, then you touched on something, so they don't have kids, they don't have family, because when you're in a group, you share, you have a responsibility to give and to be doing something, right? So maybe they feel worthless in their group, they don't feel that they can contribute enough.
It doesn't have to be family, it doesn't have to be kids, it can be, it can be
Society,
you can be a monk or a nun. And then what matters is connection.
Yeah.
What matters is connection with other people and the ability to help other people and be there with other people. Community connection, that's the most essential thing. And you can be a monk in the mountains on your own, isolated for 30 years, but be more connected than anybody. More connected than someone who lives in a huge family with 10 people.
Yeah.
Connection is about your mental state, it's not about your physical environment. But as far as meaning in your life is concerned, that's where it comes from. To live your life, I think there's two things. Living your life is the first thing. To be there in your life, and this is where the whole sort of mindfulness, being in the moment movement, originates, or not originates, but has become so widespread in the world, because most people don't live. Most people exist rather than living.
Or they're living for tomorrow, which means they're not living now, they're not experiencing now.
They're existing.
Yeah.
If you're living tomorrow, you're not alive.
Yeah.
You're just existing. And then you end up coming to the end of your life, like the great example.
Where did that go?
Well, you come back. One example I always use, and it's very good to look up, is Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs came to the end of his life very quickly because he got pancreatic cancer. He was gone in a couple of weeks. I don't know whether you came across the letter he wrote when he died.
I've seen it a little while back.
Immense regret. He basically, the founder of one of the biggest companies in the world, basically thought he wasted his whole life. He did nothing meaningful in his whole life. And that's not because he didn't have the capacity. He also had the capacity to do that. He had a family with, he didn't pay attention to it.
But maybe he's teaching everyone in his final letter.
Well, that's very true.
That's where he. Isn't that fantastic?
It is. Well, he was anyway. That's why he wrote.
He was always teaching people. Yeah. I get chillers. That's beautiful.
So that's, I think, that when you're talking about having meaning and purpose, which we must have, all of us must have. If you don't have that in your life is very empty.
Yeah.
And the saddest bit of that is you end up dying
like you said, people are coming here with cancer. They're quite defeated. I mean, it's going to be one of the scariest things that can happen to you. And then you question, how hard is it going to be to fight this, and is it worth fighting this? Because what's on the other side? Because before, it hasn't been great because I didn't know how to live, right? And I think
almost every single cancer patient I've ever worked with, at some point during working with them, insisted that they're grateful for their cancer. Almost everybody.
Because it woke them up.
Yeah, it woke them up.
Dr. Lodi said the same thing. He said, the best friend of humans is pain and suffering.
Exactly.
Right? It's the only way we learn.
It's in every single religion. It's the first thing that's taught in Buddhism. It's there, and you look at Christianity. What's the image of Christianity? It's Jesus suffering on the cross. You look at Islam. Islam says that Allah sends us suffering so we can learn. It's the biggest thing. And why? Because it's what we learn from.
We're taught to run from it in Western culture.
Which is
run from it, to hide from it, to
huge
evade
mistake.
it.
A huge
Yeah,
mistake.
you've got to see it.
You've got to face it.
Yeah.
And the reason it's not that we're taught to run from it, but we are conditioned.
Conditioned, yeah.
Because the people who are selling us medicine want us to run away from suffering, because then we'll take a pill and we'll keep taking pills. The people who sell our clothes want us to buy new clothes, thinking that's
feel bad. Oh, I work in fashion now. It's horrible, and it's
the same with the cars and houses, and buy this car and think of the holiday adverts.
You're not good enough, right? You're not good enough. You need this, or you're not. Yeah. And there's competition. They teach us competition instead of compassion.
There's a lovely big poster in Bangkok. I actually took a picture of it one time. I can't remember it. I've still got it, but it's in the airport in Bangkok, and it's a picture of this guy. Thai guy running with a suitcase full of cash. And he's running towards this shopping centre. I can't remember exactly what it said, but it's something like running to happiness. But that's the thing is, people believe this. People really feel, despite the fact that how many rich people kill themselves?
Yeah.
How many famous people have depression?
Oh. And kill themselves, and the drug abuse and
yet we still think that being rich or famous is what makes you happy.
Do you think that because with the internet now and social media and the way we are now, we're even more attuned to that than ever before, and like
we're more deceived by it.
Yeah, but I mean, what I mean is we're having it in even a more extreme level than what people did 50 years ago.
Sure.
So then maybe society will really suffer from it in a way that it will wake them up. So sometimes it goes so bad that it's going to explode, and everyone says, this really doesn't work. Because people are they believe it, but they don't know it yet, right? And that's the thing. Everyone, we talk to everyone, and they say, yeah, I agree with you.
But they haven't actually.
They don't really know it.
Integrated it.
They haven't hit that wall, but if society hits that wall,
then
it explodes down.
Destroy itself, or will come through a breakup.
Yeah,
one of them.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a huge awakening of people. And when I say it, I know it's a very catchy term, but it's not hard for me to explain to my friends that I'm here and what I'm doing, but 10 years ago it would kind of absurd to a number of people. It's like veganism. I mean, I was vegetarian and vegan from 8 years ago, and it was incredibly hard at first to sit down at a table and explain to everyone, and you get the eyes rolling and the sniggers, and they used to actually beat up on you a bit, Now it's not cool to do that. So I guess we're progressing quite quickly.
I hope we are. There is hope, and there's always hope in the world, and there's people like, inspiring people living in the world, and there's always hope.
Yeah.
But I think we're coming through a very difficult period now, where I love the words of Michael Moore, the filmmaker Michael Moore.
Yes, of course.
Many of the things we're experiencing in the world at the moment, like Trump and like Brexit in England, these are the last.
The lessons.
He calls them the last cries of the dinosaur. This is an old way. This is an old generation thing which is dying.
Well, that's very positive, isn't it?
That's
I didn't know that he'd said that because I've not always seen him to be the most positive guy.
No.
But everyone can learn, and now he's showing that idea.
I thought that was a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Because we've got those things.
It's unsustainable. So there's going to be an explosion. And I think our culture of consumerism and competition is unsustainable.
It is competitive,
and so,
of course.
We've been doing it for a long time, but we are hitting that melting point.
We've been doing it because, if you think about it, if you really get down to the root cause of why we've become consumers and why we've become materialistic, you can trace it back to the fact of probably a couple of hundred years ago, about the time of Descartes, when science said, quite blatantly, that the only things that actually matter in the world is the objective material world. Physical things. Because we can measure them, we can quantify them, we can analyse them, but the internal world, we can't know it, we can't quantify it, the only way we can know it is subjectively. Therefore, they literally said this, scientists actually said this, it doesn't exist. Now, how ridiculous is that? To say that your inner world doesn't exist.
Yeah. And
this is where you've got the division in the world between science and religion. And it's very sadly, they went their different ways. The one that was right was religion. even though we don't believe it, religion was right. Religion was right all along. Oh, I'm sorry, right was right all along.
Yeah.
Basically, what religion said was the internal world is the only place you can ever find happiness. You're never going to find it in cars or drink or drugs. You're never going to find happiness in those things.
No.
But science said that's all that exists.
See, to accumulate things.
So therefore, if you want to be happy, you've got no choice but to try and consume.
We're taught to judge each other by what people have. You know, it's what their fame, their money, their looks, their.
And again, that all the root of all that comes from this wrong
Just makes money.
conclusion in science, which said that the objective world is all that exists. And if you believe that, then you've got no choice but to try and find your happiness in the objective world. And finding happiness in objective things involves being consuming.
Unfortunately, most people don't believe it. They actually, in their mind, know it. And that's even more difficult because you can be trained out of a belief at any time, right? But when you know something to be a fact, and that's kind of where it's that ingrained in us, and that's the shame. It isn't in me because I'm very flexible with my ideology and what and I know that that's absolutely wrong, and so I still battle within myself. I'm sure even with you, you have that battle every day, but there are so many people that have no notion that that's wrong. They know it might not bring them happiness. We know the catchy phrases.
As we said, there is hope, and a lot of the hope is connected to what I've just been talking about in terms of the scientific point of view. Science is now coming around. You look at quantum field and quantum science and quantum physics and so forth. They're beginning to come around the other way. They're understanding that actually consciousness, our inner world, is actually the most important thing in the universe. It's the heart of everything. So there is hope.
Are you coming towards talking about thought, the power of thought?
Consciousness itself.
Yeah.
The latest, if you read, quantum understanding has been around for 100 years, but the latest sort of developments and the latest sort of conclusions which it's coming to are basically that consciousness is the heart of everything. That there is nothing without consciousness.
Explain what you mean by that.
Well, let's give some easy examples which they give in quantum physics themselves. They would say, for example, if you go in your kitchen in the morning, you make your breakfast and you go out to work, and you assume in the back of your mind that your kitchen is still there. From a quantum point of view, it's not. It's the best you can say, and this is really the very best you can say, is that there's a probability. It doesn't become a kitchen until you walk into it.
Do you know, I knew that when I was a child.
Right.
I knew it to be that. I knew that the only thing that exists is what I'm creating now as I look.
That's right.
But I knew that. I've known that.
And another example that they give is the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory, which is the fact there was nothing and then there was a Big Bang. That's ridiculous from many point of view to say there was nothing and then a Big Bang.
It's a little hard one to swallow. I have to admit myself too.
But then, if you look at the way we're taught, there was a Big Bang and there were stars and there were planets and all the rest of it. And for billions of years, that's all there was. And then gradually there was life, and the tiniest life, and this group. From a quantum point of view, it's complete nonsense because to talk about a universe or a star or a planet without there being someone conscious of it is meaningless. There is no universe without someone conscious of it. So
that just clicked for me in that way because
it doesn't make any sense.
No, that's
consciousness is the heart of everything. You're either conscious, you exist if you're in Buddhism. One of the first things we study in the monastery is the definition of existence, of what it means to exist. And we define existence as that which is known by a valid consciousness. That which is known by a valid consciousness. In other words, to exist, you've got to be known by consciousness. If you're not known by a consciousness, you don't exist. Rabbit horns is the one we use in the monastery, but flying pigs is another. So, in other words, we define existence itself in terms of being known by our mind. Otherwise, it doesn't exist. And this is exactly what quantum theory is saying. Same thing.
And so, when you to go back to the clinic,
right?
I mean, I just have to tell you, Jasmine and I have been here, like I said, on day 8, and I think you can tell I'm pretty vibrant. I couldn't be much more bubbling with energy and excitement. I mean, I'm pretty much how I am. This is me, but actually better. I feel strong. I feel it's just incredible, and every experience I have, I feel like I've broken through another wall that's going to help me improve and be in a stronger place. And what I love about this place is that there's just this incredible integrated approach with multiple schools of how can I explain it? practices. So we have oncology, but we have mixed with Chinese science. We have yourself, and you're mixing Western and Eastern,
yes,
and specifically Tibetan Buddhism.
Yeah.
Tell me how that relates to someone comes in here and they are. So, do you treat people in your mind differently when if I'm here with cancer, and I guess every person is different. You have to kind of read them, but does it maybe start where we've started talking? Is that how it happens? And you start to break down what's going on, what they're looking for, or how does that approach work? And then what's your idea?
First of all, I think it's important to distinguish it from the psychological or psychotherapeutic approach. And although that is changing in the world these days, but traditionally, the psychotherapeutic way has been to analyse the person. What's happened in their past, what was your own childhood, what was all the rest of it.
Diagnose, investigate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's been more and more understood to be a very wrong way of going about things. And in fact, what it does is it emphasises and strengthens the view of the self. And the view of me focuses on self-concern and self-awareness. And not self-awareness in a positive way, but self-awareness in a self-important, self-concerned way, which is the very opposite from what we need to be doing. Mental health is a product of how unself-obsessed we are. And if you look at mental sickness in the world, you'll find that people who are seriously mentally sick, we put in institutions or whatever, you'll find every single one of them has an inability to relate, to connect with other people. If you think about someone who's very mentally ill, often they can't even look at you. They'll be talking to you, they're looking at this. Or if they do talk to you, they'll be talking about themselves. They won't be able to say to you, well, how do you feel? They can't empathise. They can't relate to another person. And if you look at people who are mildly mentally sick with depression, anxiety, and so forth, it's the same thing. They don't have that ability to empathise. They're stuck in their own worlds, stuck in this isolated me. And you see, within psychology and psychotherapy, they all think of that as being a symptom of mental sickness. Within my tradition, that is mental sickness, and an inability to connect. And we were talking about our society earlier, about how it's made us into what we are.
We may be creating more people like that now.
One of the biggest things we're doing in our society, and the phones and everything else, one of the biggest things with this, is isolating ourselves.
Yeah.
You see people out to dinner, 5 people sitting on a table, every single one of them looking at their phone. There's no connection. People think this is connection when they're looking at their phone. It's not. It's disconnection. And we don't trust people anymore.
Do you think it's insecurity, confidence has a lot to do with it?
Well, that's because of the media. What the media has done to us, they've made us distrust people. We think that everybody's going to kill us, or steal with us, or rape us, or that. It's just not the case. Those people exist, but there's probably no more than there ever were.
Statistics, the data doesn't back it up ever.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's just simply the media is convinced. Look at the coronavirus now.
Yeah.
It's actually nothing. 98% of people recover. 98% of people don't even get much of a flu. and yet it's become this amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, people are dying from it, but compared to other things.
Well, they're making it something big now, economically.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the airport's going to shut down. I hope next week I can fly back to our country because if we're stuck, we're stuck. It's not going to be fixed in 2 weeks. It's not like, there's been a strike. It's how long will that take to fix and recuperate?
It's all about the media is creating this fear and this sense of distrust in us. And it's emphasising this isolation of feeling. The isolation which is created by the media, it's created by the screens that we on all day long, and it's created by the societies which no longer, we don't live in communities anymore.
I feel that we're creating content that perpetuates it as well. Because on Instagram we're trying to show the best part of ourselves. We're grooming ourselves completely.
People don't show pictures, do they? They put their picture, but they've touched up the picture.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not even them.
No, but other people then see that and go, I don't look like that. Just look in the mirror. And they start to feel bad. But even then, imagine, because this is part of the competition thing. In martial arts, in the way that I used to, because I was an instructor, it could be very competitive. And we had a theory, which I learned, a philosophy from my master, that you've got to get every student to help every other student. And the whole group is working towards celebrating everyone else's achievements, not their own, because your own achievements are the easiest. And when I realized that, my performance went through the roof. because I didn't care. I wasn't competing.
Exactly.
And the funny thing was, I doubled my performance just by not focusing on myself, like simple as what you're saying.
It's the same thing in monastery. The monastic, we studied and we had exams every year. And compared to, I did the Western way of studying, university and so forth, you're studying to pass the exam for yourself. In the monastery, when it came to exam time, there was no question of any individual passing the exam. This class has to pass the exam.
Basically,
And most of our revision consisted of the whole class coming together, and the people who were not so bright, who didn't get it as well, the brighter ones helped them.
Yeah.
So it was all about our class has to get through this exam.
You get better when you teach, right? So
it's all about the group thing. And this has been something which is, it's very interesting as well. Do you remember, you probably don't, but I think you're younger than I am.
I'm 46.
Well, not that much younger. But, there was a book that came out, I can't remember, it must have been the 60s or 70s, called The Selfish Gene.
I've seen it, I've heard reference to it, but I've not read it.
It was widely adopted as being the truth. That basically selfishness is how we've survived, how we've evolved.
Oh, but it's a gene.
Yeah.
They're blaming it on that, not society. They're saying it's
whatever reason.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
They said that basically this was the answer. And everybody loved this. The whole world loved it. They all adopted it. I remember my parents talking about, this is true, this is true. It was then proved wrong about 20 years later by further research, which found that actually the most successful evolutionary species are the ones who work for each other.
Compassion.
Like ants. Ants will give their lives for the community. And these were the most successful communities. But do you know what happened? No one ever took any notice of that. The whole world was up in arms and all agreed how wonderful this book, The Selfish Gene, was. But when the selfish gene was disproved, nobody took any notice.
But that's incredibly, there are so many things that have been proven.
Yeah.
And people, for a number of reasons, I think, don't want to take on things that confront what they think they know, their beliefs. So, for example, the treatments that are going on with cancer patients here, people don't want to think or admit that they've been fooled their whole life, and it's not possible because someone else did. The NHS is not going to tell you that this works, and then it's easy to believe. People can follow a lie till their grave because it's easier than confronting your own. You're complicit in the fact that you didn't know better and that you didn't. You've been shown actually a dozen times that this is the way it was, and you are responsible for denying it, right? And so that's a very powerful thing that keeps people in not taking on new ideas that have been. And there's so many ideas like that.
So many things. That's one of the biggest ones.
We worship billionaires now and bankers and CEOs. And then, so unfortunately, they're great people, but it's also been proven that the majority of them are narcissists, and that's what helps them be that. So they're ruthless. I had very good friends. They're still great friends of mine. In fact, I wouldn't say he was a narcissist in any way whatsoever. He's very compassionate, but he knew straight away he was working in business. I was working in advertising for a company that he owned. And he said, "Alex, I really want to bring you in with what we're doing, but you're not ruthless enough." He said, "We'll do things that you will not agree with, and that's why. But otherwise, you'd be amazing in this." but he does it, and he just realized that with me. So imagine.
I think that's not that's kind of the same. But I think that there's also slightly mistaken. We believe power and energy and the ability to get things done depends upon ruthlessness and anger.
I don't believe that at all. No, I think.
But we see positive emotions.
Yeah.
I think love, compassion can be just, are much more powerful. If you look at the power behind those emotions, they're much stronger. But we don't use them. We use the negative.
And we don't celebrate them.
Yeah.
We don't. Yeah. We don't develop them. We don't encourage them in children. We don't encourage them anywhere.
That's right. But anyway, going back to a question in terms of the cancer patients.
Yeah.
Yes, we definitely work on an individual level as much as possible, and that's part of the healing process. Because if you're dealing with someone on a very impersonal level, then you're not going to get very far with it anyway.
How do you feel you make breakthroughs with them though in such a short period? Because obviously, if you're sitting somewhere, they can come and see you for a few years, or they can see you more regularly. But sometimes they're here for short periods.
They're normally here for about 12 weeks, and I would see them a couple of times.
Oh, that's a
fairly
long time.
Yeah. And I would see them quite often. Some of the people, there's people who need more help, I'll see every day.
Yeah, great.
And other people will be twice a week. So yeah, you're trying to find out. There's a step-by-step process which is fairly common for everybody, but you very much deal on a personal level.
And are you encouraging them to read as well, to follow up? Because I guess you can sit. I think an important thing what I realised when I've gone through paradigm shifts, I call them at different times when I've needed them, and when I met, for example, the first time by Master, and then every time I meet him, like it's an energy recharge. But he said to me, "Look, you're going to go back to Australia now. You need to read these books, you need to follow, and you need to find other books like this. You need to constantly have that in there." And it's exactly like even when I was studying teaching Han's work, I knew the minute I put a book down that I had to pick up another one to stay in that state.
Yes. Reading books is very important. I mean, that's because of the basic principle that we are a product of what we do to ourselves. This is going against this very fundamental wrong belief that we have, that we're somehow intrinsically, inherently different from the rest of the world. There's some sort of entity or identity in here which is unrelated. Complete illusion.
Yeah.
There is no such thing.
We can pause it, yeah. Oh, it's probably our song. It's 5 to 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
Sure
it's very warm. Thank you.
For salt water.
Yeah. It's actually good. I feel like having it. Do you want?
I'm okay for the
Do you want?
Okay, yeah.
It's our salt water.
I'm sorry.
It's so funny he's interrupting the intro.
Tequila. It's better than tequila, it's delicious.
Yeah.
It's really hot to say it's nice and everybody's hot.
I might leave this.
Want some water here?
Oh, good. Yeah. Thank you. This is fantastic.
I'll tell you why, because the Buddha is here. So these are empty cups.
Oh, okay.
If you offer something empty,
Okay.
it's not going to be good for your karma.
Okay.
What's more?
No, I'm great. Thank you. So, Tenzin, what other subjects do you think? Because this is all my interviews have been quite organic the way that we've been going.
Right.
But do you feel there's something that perhaps you would like to discuss?
The only thing I'd like to make a point of is, you see, before I worked specifically in the area of cancer, we're going to talk about cancer, cancer patients. I had experience with people curing themselves from various diseases, not just cancer, but HIV as well, through meditation, just through meditation, without any treatments. And so and my teachers had a lot more, obviously many hundreds of people who cured themselves. And it's not an unusual thing, it's well documented.
People came to the monastery and they actually cured themselves there, or they did it at home?
They tended to do it at home or under the advice of the teacher or whatever. But, and some people come to the monastery, but on the whole, it would be advice from the teacher. So that was something which I was well aware of and I experienced many times. So I knew that really. I knew that your mind state and your had made a huge difference. I mean, basically, they used to say, I don't know if you know, but recent research has been, they used to say that 80-90% of cancers could be traced back to emotional issues. Most recently, they've said that that's completely wrong. Actually, 100% of cancers can come back. And they used to say that some of the chemicals in the environment used to have some, they said, yeah, that does have a condition, that's an effect, but it's not the main reason. The main cause for every single rise of cancer in the world is because of emotional disease. So the rise of sickness, all chronic diseases, can be traced into emotional problems. But more importantly, from what I'm doing, working here, is what's become absolutely clear cut to me over the last few years working with cancer patients is that whether they get better or not is 99.9% dependent on their mind. If they've got the mindset, they get better. If they don't have the mindset, I've seen people with very early stage cancer, nothing particularly wrong with them, but their mind's been in the wrong place, and they've ended up losing it. And then I've seen people being right at the other end of the spectrum, very late stage, maybe weeks to live, and they've turned it all around with their mind. And that's become crystal clear, so crystal clear. Whether you recover or not, and this is not just me, the doctors will tell you the same thing. It's about the mind, it's about the mind.
And to be clear on that point, when we say that the mind is powerful enough to help fight the disease in their body, it doesn't just mean that they're sitting in the corner meditating, it means that they're also potentially changing their lifestyle, the way they eat, the way they exercise, etc., because the mind has told them that this is how they're going to, or do you,
yes,
are you saying that they...
The changing your lifestyle and changing the way you eat will come out naturally when your mind.
That's what I mean. But the mind helps that, so it's still the mind that controls it. Is that the way? Yeah.
Absolutely, but that's not the main thing. That's secondary. Because you see, your food, your diet, even your treatments, they're secondary. They're conditions.
And we're not talking about just denying illness. We need to do more powerful than that, because that's what someone says. If you don't believe in it, then it's not happening. But it's not it.
No. In fact, the opposite. You have to accept it. First of all. If anything, I would say you need to accept it and you need to love the illness. If something like cancer, cancer is a part of you.
Hello, my friend.
Yeah, it's your body. It's not some virus coming to you, which is not you. It's part of your own body. It's your own body dealing with itself. It's making mistakes because it's dealing with itself. So if you start to hate your own body or deny your own body, you're not going to do any good. One of the first steps I take people through is acceptance. You have to totally accept what you have and then work with it. Love it. Love your cancer. Love your body. And then you can work with it like that. So all the other stuff, they're conditions, the treatment, the food, the diet, all that stuff. They're conditions which can help you to get better. But if your mind is not in the right place, they're not going to work. And again, I've seen this again and again. People can do all the treatments.
Because the mind gives us so much toxicity if it's positive or if it's pointed in the wrong direction.
And it's also it's more deep than that. It's coming back to that basic principle we
creation.
Before.
We destroy it, create.
See, we create the world. But if you think about everything within the world, all the external objects, and you think about the body, the one thing that we're constantly creating almost 24 hours a day is the state of our bodies, because that's the one thing we're conscious of most of the time. You know, tables and chairs we're sometimes conscious of for other people, but our body we're always conscious of. So it's hardly surprising that the thing that mostly gets affected by our mind is the state of our bodies. So again, that creates disease, but it also enables us to heal from disease as well.
And so this is the big question there then. How does the mind fix it? What are you teaching people? Are they focusing on certain techniques? What is it that they're trying to do?
You need to basically make your mind healthy. That's what it comes down to. You need to make your mind a healthy place to be. Because if your mind is healthy, the body will likewise become healthy. And in terms of having a healthy mind, you need to first of all get to know your mind. You need to generate awareness of your mind, because most people don't have any awareness of their mind. And most people are controlled by their thoughts. They believe that they are their thoughts. They believe that
the monkey in the mind that's constantly talking to you. And I'm going to run off with this one. I'm going to run off with that one, instead of letting it. And negative thoughts come in. I mean, letting them just go and realizing that you're not that. You're not your thoughts,
yes,
right?
Not your thoughts.
And you can sit back and observe them.
Exactly. So you become the boss rather than the thoughts.
Yeah.
That's the first stage of what you do. Then what I do with people anyway, what I've done is distill basically most of the spiritual stuff which I learned into a sort of 3-stage mental health program. The beginning of it is awareness, like I said, to learn to control your thoughts, to learn to live rather than exist, as we were saying before. To actually to be living your life, to control your thoughts, to give yourself some space, some mental space. That's the initial stage. Then you've got to deal with your negative emotions, because if you don't, they're going to come back and they're going to cause you problems. And they're what make you sick. So the second stage is to find skillful methods to deal with the negative emotions and identify for individuals which ones are their biggest problem, and then learn techniques to let go of the negative emotions. So that you can't stop them. But what you can do is you can get to the point where they just don't cause you any problems. You can let go of them in seconds. And I promise you can do this. It's really possible.
And are there potentially, I'm sorry, I know we don't have much time, unfortunately, are there techniques that you use sometimes to quick track this idea, quick track these ideas so that people immediately say, okay, I can see how that works? Because coming from Western upbringings, it's difficult for people to believe or to trust that this is worth investing in. Isn't it?
You can't quick track, as you say.
Is it a paradigm pops that just make them think?
No.
Maybe for me, I was more susceptible.
The closest thing I think to that would be that I relate things from my own experience in my own life.
Yeah.
Which I've gone through, and that helps people to understand and believe. Belief in meditation and the power of the mind is pretty much impossible until you've actually done it and you've got the taste yourself. So you need to get people going.
Yeah.
You need to get them doing a certain amount of practice per day so they start to get a taste of it themselves. Other than that, the only way of really relating and trying to get them to believe is trying to give
examples, yeah.
Of where I've gone through self-emotional issues which I've managed to deal with much more effectively than I would have done before or whatever. And other than that, it's difficult.
Do you find that that's a challenge, or do you find that it's not so much? Not so
difficult to believe?
To buy into this.
Depends on the person.
Yeah.
Some people naturally believe
Skeptic.
yeah.
Why not? There are a lot of skeptics.
Yeah.
And in fact,
there's nothing wrong with being
even people that do meditate are partially skeptic. That's why they don't meditate every day. You know, I mean,
being skeptical is not a problem as long as you go with it and you analyze. You see, one of the most inspiring things really about Buddhist teachings I've found, for me personally, is that what you're doing in your practice is not trying to change things or change the world or change yourself, or it's not positive psychology, any of that sort of stuff. None of that's going to work if it's not based on truth. What Buddhism is doing is trying to wake you up. It's trying to wake you up to see things clearly rather than seeing things through the medium or through the mirage of your own projections and your own imagination. So it's about waking up. And that's very logical. You know, it's very logical. The world exists the way it exists. And if you understand that, rather than as you imagine it to be, you know, that's that expression, we don't see things the way they are, we see things the way we are. So we project onto the world our own imagination, our own distorted sort of viewpoint, and we see the world through our own eyes. If we come to see the world as it is, then we wake up. And that's what you're doing. You're doing more, that's very logical, it's very sensible.
It is, and on so many levels. And it's funny for me because from my own personal experience, remember we talked earlier about you get up, you have breakfast in the kitchen, you go to school or you go to work, and you think it's still there. I had this thing when I first went to London. I lived 15 years in London. And the first, I lived in South Kent first, then Soho for 10 years, and then 5 years in Primrose Hill. So quite nice areas. We had the best of it. It was beautiful. But I had this idea that when I went in the tube and I travelled for a while, did everything else exist? Is there really only the stuff that I'm coming out of, and did all the rest of it ever exist? You know, did it create just in front of me, ahead of me? And that was something that I thought about a lot of times, also because it's fun to do.
Sure. The Matrix is a very good, you know, The Matrix is a very good example of that.
Yes.
It's a very spiritual film, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's many elements of that film which are very relevant.
And the reason I say with the bit where I fight a little bit with it is that, okay, I've got a real big problem tomorrow, I've got to go and deal with something, but wait a minute, maybe that problem doesn't exist, it's only existed because I think of it. And then yet the problem maybe exists because I'm thinking of it, but let's face it, in reality, or in my perceived reality, I still have to go there.
But the issue is whether it's a problem or not, that's depending on how you're seeing it.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's completely a matter of your mind.
Yeah.
The issue is there, yes. But
how you deal with it, absolutely.
Issue,
how are you going to let it affect you?
Exactly. You know, people talk about, one of the things I've come across before is stress. And to get across to people that stress has got absolutely nothing to do with your external environment. It's always that. Very few people get that.
It's always to do with how you're dealing with it, it's not to do about the thing.
Exactly. I was in England for a while. I'm a single dad with a son. Although I'm not single anymore, but I had a son. And for many years I was in England with him. And I used to take him to school in the mornings, and I used to meet many of the mothers on the way to school. And they'd always tell me, "Oh, they're stressed out about this, and their job, and their husband, and their house."
You're stressing yourself out.
And I said, "You're not getting. Do you not understand? The stress has got nothing to do with your environment. It's got to do with your mind." And they would not get it. They just would not understand it. You know, if you look at the most stressed out, in theory, person in the world, then you can find no better example than Dalai Lama. Dalai Lama he's the political, he was so recently the political head of his country. Yeah. He's the spiritual head of his country. His country's been invaded by China. His countrymen are being killed on a daily basis by the Chinese. He's got probably 1 million or more students around the world, all desperate for his attention. He's trying to run a government in exile. You don't get more busy in your life than him, but there's no stress whatsoever. So, and the opposite of that is people who, maybe retired people in England are a very good example of this. We've got nothing at all to do during the day, but are stressed out.
Yeah.
Stress has nothing to do with your external environment. It's a mental quality. And most people just don't understand it. They can't compute that it's true.
I think even if you understand it, even for a brief moment, I can give you from an example myself. I know a lot of these ideas, but to keep them always there every time stress doesn't.
Well, to integrate them, you've got to integrate.
It's got to become a habit. It's got to become a habit. Like the idea that you can't hurt me. There's no way that you can hurt me. I can allow you to by But there's absolutely no way on earth, and I was taught that when I was 18. When I went, and the same master, he said, "You know, I can't hurt you at all, Alex. There's nothing I can do to you." I said, "Yeah, well, you could do this. This says how you want to receive it, or how you want to process it." But still, I'm married. We have an argument. You made me feel like this. You know, for years, actually, now I've started saying, "Yeah, you made me." I knew for many years that they couldn't say that because that's not true.
It's not true.
But we forget, and then.
And that's because we don't meditate enough, and it's because we don't integrate these understandings into our mind. There's this threefold process they talk about in Buddhism: listening, thinking, and meditating. And all three are necessary. First of all, you've got to listen to the concept and understand the concept. Then you've got to think about it deeply in your mind and really, really believe in it and understand it. And then you've got to meditate. And if you leave off that third one, you don't integrate it into your mind, then you're going to have the same issues as anybody else is going to have, even though you understand it to be wrong.
Yeah.
You're still going to have those same issues. So integration is essential. You have to bring it into your mind. That's where meditation is essential.
It's key. I mean, the concept you just said, and I know, because I also self-reflect and I realize I'm wrong because I'll talk to someone about meditation or any kind of, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know you know. But you don't always know. That's you don't know all the time. And I don't know all the time because we forget and we slip up.
That's right. Well, that's what a daily practice is essential.
Yeah.
Regular practice is so important. And not just that, but all three of those things are important. Because it's all very well to say, yeah, I do loads of meditation. But if you don't know what you're doing, it's not going to help. You've got to listen first. Then you've got to think. Of course, listening involves letting go of a lot of preconceptions and all ideas we have in our mind and all the education we have and so forth. So you can actually listen rather than being the faulty listener who just interprets things from our own point of view. Listening is very important. So to be an empty vessel and just listen. And then to think and consider that we've been listening to, and does it make sense or not, and really make that conclusion in your mind that it makes sense. And then to integrate. You've got to follow that through. After you jump from one to the other, you jump straight into meditation, you might feel great for 10 days. All three of them are really important. Study is really important as well.
They're like laws. we need to follow those. I've got to say, Tenzin, this has been very enjoyable, and I think everybody that watches this is going to love it. I wish we had an hour. I think we could talk for hours.
Sure,
But thank you so much. It's been really fantastic.
Enjoy the rest of your time here.
Thank
I'm
you.
here tomorrow, but I'm gone. It's 5 days, as I say.
Yeah, you can stop it.